What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fatherhood Experience, where we help dads become better dads. We are your hosts, Jason Priest and Zach Smith, and we've got a very fun interview for you guys today. Before we dive in, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of you who continue to follow along with our journey, man. We truly appreciate your support. And as always, man, our only ask of you, man, we don't run ads. We're not here to bore you, not here to waste your time. Our only ask is if you do get value out of our show, just share it with one dude in your life who you think could benefit from the value that we're bringing you every week. We're here to help change lives and help you guys see a better way of life. And if you do get value, just do that value exchange. And if you think that the show is shitty, don't share it, man. That's all we ask of you. So with us today, we have Mr. Scott Rammage, and Scott is in one of my networking groups, and I'll give you guys a little intro. But this is going to be a great interview because we're very aligned. Scott's very aligned with Zach and I, and really everything that we talk about from a fatherhood and leadership standpoint. And so Scott actually is a business owner and actually has his own podcast, and I'll let him share all that with you guys. But Scott runs a business or two, and his passion project is actually his podcast and what he's doing for and with fathers right now. And so I'm excited to dive into this. I think you guys are going to get a shit ton of value. So without further ado, Scott, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited for this conversation, we'll call it.
Yeah, thank you, Jason and Zach. I'm pumped to be here. I love talking about the things that we're probably going to talk about.
yeah,
it's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's obviously what brought us together. I know that you and I had been connected on Facebook through one of our business mastermind groups in Apex, and I saw some of your posts, you saw some of mine, and it just made sense to connect and take our relationship to another stage beyond just Facebook. And I'm excited to dive in, dude. So my first and really the only scripted question I have is just to get a little bit about your backstory, so our audience has an idea. So how did you? I'll just ask you this: how did you get to be with me today on this podcast?
Oh man, so it's all about the content that we're putting out, right? Like I'm like, oh, this guy's got some things that are going out that resonate with me.
Sure.
And you mentioned that I have multiple things going on, so I'm sitting there. I'll post on business because I run a virtual assistant agency, and that's an awesome business because I've been a business owner, small entrepreneur for years, and I found a solution for business owners. So I love problem solving for business owners because I've been there and I am there. And then the Brotherhood of Fatherhood, dude, like for me, like you said, it's a passion project. I was looking for a tribe of men that kind of fit what I was wanting, and I wasn't happy with anything I found at the time. So I created that. So that's how we're here, because we both share pretty similar things. And, with sometimes I have to go on Facebook and say, by the way, here's all the things I do. Because people are like, are you doing the Brotherhood? Are you doing the virtual thing? Are you doing podcasting? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I get it. You got your hands on a lot of hats there. I get it, dude. I get it.
Yeah. So,
I love the concept of the Brotherhood of Fatherhood, and we'll get into this more. I know that one thing that really caught my eye was that I know that you've done at least one in-person event, and I know you've got one that's being planned now. And one of Zach and I's, favorite things is seeing our clients in person and getting to build that bond and that relationship with them. And we interviewed, I don't know if it's not out yet. Well, somewhere along the line, we have an interview with one of our top clients. And one of the things that came up during that interview is this guy's totally transformed his life. And the reason I tell you that is because opening up the interview, it was weird. Because I don't feel this way about, all of our clients, but there's a select few guys that we've gotten really close with. Right. And we've formed like lifelong friendships, man. And like, he's somebody that I consider that we're doing life together, man. And like, not the impact that Zach and I have had on his life has been tremendous. And we're very humbled and honored to do that. But he doesn't realize the value that he provides to our life. And that's what really, that's what fuels my fire, man, is getting to connect in person. And so when I saw that you were doing in-person events, dude, it made too much sense not to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's a big topic, because I've been doing Brotherhood for 3 years, the podcast, and building a community with I'm not selling anything. I mean, I sold some shirts, and guys love wearing the shirts. And I did my first event last year because the entire vision from very early on was bringing men together because I needed men in my life. Like you said, it's a real reciprocal relationship where you have something to offer all these guys, but maybe they know it or maybe they don't, but they're adding a ton to your life as well.
That's it.
And these in-person events, I knew they would be good, but I didn't know how good. And the level of depth that you can go with men when you're face to face, and it's built on a very strong foundation of here's my beliefs, here's what's important, like fitness, your health, how you treat your wife, how you parent, how you treat your finances. When you lay a foundation and you stand strong on that, you bring men into your life who have the same values or are pushing to get that place. And I want to sow that vision, and then I want to reap also on my end. This is, there's a selfish end to it. Not really how I started, but there's a lot of return. As you said, you cannot do this alone. As a man and a father, we're programmed in our world right now to think that we need to hold everything inside. We need to be strong, be perfect. And then on the other side, we're being told that masculinity is bad and it doesn't matter what your body looks like. And I'm just the guy going, yeah, dad bods suck. Like if you have a dad bod, you're not working. And I'm sorry if that offends somebody, but I'm not sorry because then I get to talk to people.
It's your fault.
Say the
if
same
you have a
thing.
dad bod, it's your fucking fault, man. That's it.
Yeah. So it's, dude, events. When I talk to you, I was so pumped that you guys are doing events because I know the value and impact there. And guys, listen, if you're listening, like put away your pride, put away your fear, and just go. Just do it. Like forget about the price. Like you're going to be done. And you're like, whatever the price was, a couple $100, multiple thousands of dollars, doesn't matter. You're going to come home and say, I was worth every single penny. And then your wife or partner or girlfriend or whatever it is going to be like, please go back.
Yeah, no, I want to throw this out there because Zach will agree with this. Like, it's funny because when we held our first retreat, a lot of our guys were going out there and they had no clue what was going to happen, right? Like they're going in with an open mind, but also a closed mind. And Adam, the guy that we had on, he's like, man, I thought I was going to a fat camp. I thought I was going, I thought you guys are going to put us through the ringer, and I was coming to a fat camp, and like, this is what. And he's like, dude, it was this guy transformed his life by that one event. Like he went home and went stone cold sober and has been sober since. This was a high functioning alcoholic. And so you're right. You can go very, very deep there. But I want to go back to what you said a couple minutes ago about holding it in, because I've been putting out a lot of content around this lately, is that, we were raised, and all of us really, even, Zach, I'm about, I think 9 years older than Zach. And so we were all in a bucket of people who were raised at a time where, we were taught that big boys don't cry, rub some dirt on it, it'll be okay. And when you're told this over and over and over again throughout your entire life, you internalize everything, right? And then you bring on the toxic masculinity thing, and it's almost taboo to act like a man, right? You got this soy boy movement with the taking out the red meat. They go vegan. They don't do any resistance training, and they look like a bean pole, and that's what a man's supposed to be. But they're soft and easily controlled. That is not what my vision of a man is. But when you tell men from a young age, big boys don't cry, rub some dirt on it, it'll be okay, we internalize. And I use this example a lot, and both of you have been impacted by this, but it almost turns us into maybe even a little bit stubborn when it comes to asking for help, right? How many times have you been driving, you've been lost, and you refuse to pull over and simply ask for fucking directions, dude? All you need to do, pull over to the gas station, but hey, homie, where am I? I'm lost right now. Can you point me in the right direction? Instead, we'll waste 30 or 45 minutes driving around trying to figure it out on our own, because this is what we've been told from day one that we're supposed to do, right? And it's a broken mentality that's really led to a big time mental health crisis for a lot of men in our country, because we simply don't have outlets.
For sure. And there's no roadmap. And so we did like a recap after my event, and almost all the men said the same thing. There's no roadmap for being a parent, being a husband. Like nobody's like writing a book about this that really, really lays it out. And then when you read it, you're alone. And so one, we are the protectors. We are the leaders. This is in our nature. This is how we were designed. That's, the amount of testosterone we should have in our body, the way that we should be treating our body we should be protectors. I know that my wife finds me incredibly sexy when something happens at the door or there's some weird noise and I'm like, stay there. And I'm like demanding and directing. And she went to I tell the story a lot. She went to the post office a couple months ago and she came back. She goes, thank you. I'm like, what? She's like, I was at the post office, just thank you. And I'm like, you got to explain. She goes, the only word I can think of is flaccid. It's like a bunch of, she didn't say it this way. She's a bunch of limp dicks. She's like, they're just a bunch of guys that are flabby. They don't stand with their shoulders back. They don't act like men. And she's like, it's disgusting. And she goes, I find that you work out regularly, you eat right, you are the leader of our household, you're teaching our boys to be young men. I find that incredibly sexy. And I want guys to hear this. Being fit, being strong, being a protector, being resolute on the decisions that you make and the things that you're doing are sexy. So if you want to get laid, but there you go.
It's one part of it, dude. Like it's yes, it's sexy. And that could be like the vanity piece, right? Let's take it a step further. And from a leadership standpoint, from a father standpoint, dude, it's our moral and ethical obligation and responsibility to lead by example. Those things 100%. You just listed off should be built-in requirements. It should be a non-negotiable priority for you to want to be strong, be lean, be healthy, and have the energy to protect. You say we're protectors, right? Most men in our culture view themselves, because I talk to these guys every day. So does Zach. We talk to a lot of overweight guys. Mm-hmm. Most overweight fathers see themselves simply as a provider. What you just walked us through the story where your wife thinks it's sexy when you're directing traffic saying, hey, I got this. There's something shady at the door, or I heard a noise or something, and I'm going to fucking man up and take care of it. Most guys in our society, especially when you're overweight, you got low testosterone, you're full of estrogen, most guys are going to go hide in the bedroom with wifey. They're not going to go handle business because they don't have that testosterone. They don't have that drive to be more than just the provider. And if you're going to be a protector, how the hell are you going to protect somebody if you're 50 or 80 or 100 pounds overweight when somebody comes to break in your house and rob your house and you're scared just like your wife because you know you physically can't take care of yourself. You physically can't defend your family, man. It's a standard that should be set as a father, and we have gone so far below this standard that it's just a sad culture, man.
It is. Dude, and go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
Yeah, I've just been listening on this, and this is something that's extremely common in a topic discussion that I've heard many times over and over again. The bottom line is this: masculinity is under fucking attack. Mm-hmm. We have an obligation to be as masculine as we can possibly be because our counterpart is feminine. That is the yin to the yang, right? That's the balance. That's the way that this works. This is where the nucleus, the family nucleus comes from, right? This is what we need. What we're talking about here, being protectors and being providers, that is alpha. That is masculinity. That is what's under attack. And it's fucked up. It's kind of like the body positivity movement, right? Back in the day when that first started, it was a great movement. Now hear me out, because I see you smiling because I know exactly where your head's at, because that's where mine is too. But it actually started as a great movement for people to accept what it is that they don't have control over. Birthmarks that they might be, birthmarks or birth
no legs,
self-conscious about no legs. It's about accepting who you are and just doing the best you can with what you have. That's a beautiful thing.
It never started as a fat movement.
Yeah. Then it got hijacked by fat people. Right? I'm just going to call it what it is. If it looks like shit, smells like shit, I'm going to call it shit, right? So if anybody's offended by this, guess what? It holds some degree of truth to you. So
you ain't our guy if you're offended by it, because you got to own your shit, man.
Yep. So it got hijacked, right? Body positivity got hijacked by fat people who are saying it's okay to be fat and unhealthy, be a lazy slob with hunched over shoulders and an inability to protect my family. That's not fucking okay. That's absolutely not okay. Just like how this toxic masculinity movement it's bullshit. We should be masculine to the highest degree because, like your wife said, it's sexy. It's what women are literally programmed to look for in a man. Mm-hmm. Why
inherently, right?
Has started going this, yes, inherently, exactly, on a biological level, right? Why do you think when women go through puberty, they get wider hips? It's because they're preparing for giving birth. Like, there are certain things we cannot fucking change. That is ingrained in our biology as human beings. And for us, it's to be as masculine as possible, to protect to the highest degree and provide to the highest degree, and lead our children by example.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're talking about this, man, because we need more people like you in this world who are trying to make a positive impact in men's lives and get rid of that dad bod shit. Because that's just all that is. People who go into those movements are just accepting mediocrity. They're accepting average shit. For some of these people, the body positivity, positive, can't even say it right because fuck that movement. I can't even say the damn thing. It's not okay to be 350 pounds and 5'5". There's nothing beautiful about that.
It's not okay. It's not okay to be 350 pounds at 7'1".
No,
Jack was fat at 360.
You know, one thing,
and this is why I'm shadow banned.
Yes. One thing that you're saying,
damn it.
I want men to hear this. I want women to hear. I want everybody to hear this. Here's a statement I really, really want. I'm challenging everybody to download this statement. Think about it over and over and over again. Because if something that we've said or someone said has offended you, this 100% on you. So hear this out and think about it, write it down, think about it and keep it. Offense is not given. It is only taken. So when you say something, you're not giving that to somebody. They're internalizing and fighting it in the inside. And that's, so, I'm on this 100% accountability, extreme accountability. What I say is like, hey, gentlemen, I do this visual with guys. I say, you grab a walking stick, whatever, get in some sand or some dirt and just put it down in the ground right in front of you. Just, so it's breaking the sand or dirt, and just draw a tight circle around you. Just do a little circle with your body, draw a tight circle, and then take your phone and take a picture of your feet with a really tight circle around it. And they're like, okay, but keep it in your phone for reference. What I want you to know is that you have control of everything inside of that circle, and everything outside of that circle, you have zero control of. Your weight is not because your grandma fed you wrong. It's not because you're stressed. It's not because you have a bad knee and you can't work out. That's all BS. You only control what's inside of that circle. And so 100% accountability on everything that you do, whether it, like you get hit by another car. I'm talking about extreme ownership here. You get hit by another car. Dude, you could go back and think about some decisions you made that led you to that point, and you are 100% responsible. Yep. You might have been late for a meeting. And so if you would have been on time, you wouldn't have been there. I want you to start thinking that, get rid of the idea of being offended, and just start taking responsibility for everything. All the rest, once you kind of get that mindset, all the rest starts to kind of fall into place. Like, you guys know this. You listen to guys like, oh, I had an ACL tear and I can't work out. I'm like, hey, when I had a shoulder that was so freaking frozen, I could not sleep. I was not sleeping at all, and is on the left side. I'm going to sit there and do strict right-sided presses. I'm going to do squats. I'm going to do lunges. I'm going to do every single movement I can. And guess what? Even if it's bilateral or one side, I'm still going to have strength. It's proven I'm still going to gain strength over here. So put that shit away. You have no excuse. I don't care if you have neuropathy in your feet. There's ways you can work out. There's things you can do. There's habits you can put into place. And once you put those habits into place, they become like a realness to you, and they become like a ritual. And if you guys probably teach your guys about habit stacking, taking little steps and moving forward and forward and forward. Dude, like think of what happens in 2 years when you start one little thing and you start going. And if you've lived this history in your life of New Year's resolutions, and you get a little ways and you fail, and then you get a little ways and you fail, and you look at back to the next year, I'm like right back where I was. If you had just said, screw this, today I'm starting, and I'm just going to start with a 5-minute walk every morning. And then once that 5-minute walk is taken care of, I'm going to start doing 5 push-ups. Then once those 5-minute walk and 5 push-ups become easy and you want to have them in your day, then you do X and you do X. And before you know it, you're like me, and you have a 3-hour morning routine where when you're done, you could clock out. You're done. You're good. I've worked out. I've done a 45-minute walk. I've done my gratitude practice. I've done my all my mental work. I've, I've done a weightlifting workout. I've had time with my kids. I've had time with my wife. All excuses must go away. And
Love
that's
it,
what
dude.
happens when you take control of your life. And yeah, dude, I'm just so passionate about this stuff.
Well,
I'm tired of
I love
excuses.
it. No, we're
100%.
jamming, and I want to squeeze this in here. Is that I love the no excuse mentality, right? And I love your analogy with the circle. I think that if more people would have that shift, we would be in a lot better place as a country. But when you blame external circumstances for your situation, you mentioned your grandma's meals and your torn whatever. The bottom line is, it's about taking full responsibility for your life. And when you do that and you assume the everything is my fault mentality, you just operate in a different mindset, right? It's you're operating out of brutal honesty and true leadership. My number one core value for my 7-year-old, my 2-year-old's not quite to core values yet, right? But my 7-year-old, and we repeat this often, when he starts to act out and he passes blame at like a teacher or a kid at school or whatever, I always ask him to recite it. I'm like, what's our number one core value in this family? And it's, I take full responsibility for my actions and inactions at all times, right? So you mentioned the hit by the car, right? You could have chosen a different path. You could have gone a different route, right? There's actions and there's inactions. The inactions obviously are not doing the shit that you need to do. You mentioned the habit stacking and you mentioned the 5-minute piece. And I wanted to throw this in there because we all know Atomic Habits and we all know James Clear. Somebody shared a video with me, and Zach, you'll have to remind me. I'll play this on one of our upcoming episodes because it's real short, but it's very powerful. And he talks about, I want to say, I can't remember. Don't quote me on this, but it was either somebody who had read his book and wrote in, or maybe somebody that he actually worked with. And he talked about this guy who lost 100 pounds. And in the beginning, he did not focus anything on any goal. There was no goal. There was no weight loss associated with it. There was no, I want to feel better. There was no nothing. His whole premise around this was creating a habit. And he started off with what you just said, Scott, the 5-minute piece, right? He literally, for like, I want to say.
No, I think it was 1 minute, Jason. You're
No,
talking
no,
about James Clear, right?
Yeah. So this is the story, though.
It
So
was like 1 minute.
This guy would drive to the gym. He would stay for 5 minutes, do a half of an exercise, which is what James Clear said. So he'd drive all the way to the gym, way longer than 5 minutes, go in and spend 5 minutes in the gym, and then drive home. And I want to say he did this for, I don't know if it was 6 months or something crazy, or maybe even longer, but literally wasted all the gas in his car and all this time, all so he could create the habit that he needed to before the weight loss started. And now the guy's down 100 pounds, has kept it off, and is crushed because he built the habit on the front end by accepting full responsibility for his life. And that's like that whole like just get started piece is really powerful, because Zach and I see this a lot. We see the guys who they get to where they're 50, 60, 80, 100 pounds overweight, and they start to believe in the torture session mentality, right? It's like, I got to go to the gym. I got to be there for 3 hours because I got to get this shit off now, right? And we often tell them, we're like, dude, it's a methodical approach. It's a lifelong journey, and it's going to take a long time to unravel these habits that you've been building, these shitty habits you've been building your whole life. You're not going to do it in a couple of workouts. And that's why guys, they go head first, and then they end up bailing and quitting because 100%. They can't sustain a 3-hour workout, right? And so I love where you went with that.
Something I want to talk about is something that I've really grounded in my success in this journey. I've owned a gym. I've been in the fitness industry for a long time, so I'm coming from a different angle, but I don't want that to taint the power of what I'm going to say, because it literally changed me just being from a guy that owned a gym to me being a guy who is incredibly focused on staying on point. And that was something you mentioned, is values. And we hear all the talks on Instagram reels and everything about motivation, and how motivation wanes and you can't rely on motivation. It's very 100% true. But here's what you need to plant your flag in the ground with, and everything on that. What are your values? For me, I was walking one morning, and I do a lot of reflection and thinking, and it's dark out, and I'm like, why I've had success working out every single day, why I have literally, for me, I have not missed a day in my Bible for like 400 weeks, something like that. And that includes travel. And it just, I was like, what is it? I'm like, I have these core values and I have these commitments. Core values, health and fitness. Now, it doesn't have to be for you, but when I don't want to work out, I ask myself, who do I want to be? It's way more important for me to be strong and to be well for my wife and my boys, because I can't serve them the absolute best that I can serve them if I'm not. And so then I grounded that in this isn't about me. And that's one thing I want you. It's not about you. Like I'm talking about the circle. You're in control of yourself. Yep. But this is about how you can affect other people by staying inside of your circle and working on that damn thing that needs to be worked on the most. And that's you. And so if you have those things rooted in your commitments and in the bigger picture, you'll go and like, for me, it's like, okay, I don't want to work out today. All I got to do is get in that gym and do one rep and I'm going to be dialed.
I love it. Just getting through the fucking door, right? That's
I know. And so I that shift from, I got to do this. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to look like whoever's body. And I'm going to do it all in one day, 3-hour workouts, 75 hard, 2-hour. By the way, I actually love that. I've done it many times, but I don't suggest it for a lot of people for very specific reasons. But
it's not a fitness challenge. No. And that's where
I was already fit
doing with it. Right. Yeah.
And that's what I tell people, like
another
don't
hijacked
do
movement.
Lose weight.
Another hijacked movement yet again.
Yeah,
and then these people that do this and so this is not sustainable and all this shit. They have the goal to write in and email Andy and and fucking pummel him for all this shit. And he's like, dude, you guys are missing the whole point. Like this has nothing to do. The health and the fitness piece, byproduct, right?
Byproducts.
But isn't our physical fitness simply a byproduct or an extension of our mental fortitude, right? But he's helping you fix the mental fortitude piece,
right?
And the byproduct is the health and fitness. And when you go in with the opposite in mentality that this is a health and fitness thing, well, yeah, of course it's not sustainable for most people because it's not meant to be sustainable. It's meant to fucking challenge you and take you out of your comfort zone, right?
Exactly. And by the way, it's a great way, like for me, when I did it, I don't want to move this to 75 hard, but for me, when I did it, all I was doing was adding one more thing to my step, which was taking a photo of myself. I'm like, well, I don't do that every day. And so I started doing that. I did 152 days straight and I'm like, screw this. I'm going to have, I don't remember. Oh, I missed a picture or something. I was like, okay, well, whatever, who cares? And we're going to do it again.
So you just kept rolling, huh?
Oh yeah. There's no reason to stop. Crazy, he has his systems. I'm like, no, I don't need a break. What's that all about? So now literally
I need a burger or a piece of pizza once in a while, man.
My life is 75 hard. I mean, that's my habit. That's normal for me. And just going to be turning 50 this year. It's incredibly important that I have some incredibly serious stacked things in place so that I stay as fit and as strong and as healthy for my family as I can. And so it's all, one, that's not a weight loss program. I want people to understand that. Two, you better be dialed in if you're going to get there. For me, I'm doing it again starting next week because a buddy wanted to do it. I'm like, great. All I'm adding is photos again. Like big deal. I could say I'm doing it. Yeah. But I think you're right. The all or nothing approach is the real killer for men.
Yes.
It's like, I'm all in and then I missed it. I'm done. My wife puts it this way. She coaches women on nutrition. She puts it this way. She said, so she asked them because they're like, oh, I screwed up today. And then I just went off on a binge. She goes, so when you get up in the morning, do you brush your teeth? Yeah. Okay. Well, imagine if you forgot to brush your teeth an hour later, would you go back and brush your teeth? Well, yeah, that's disgusting. Right. So how is your nutrition different? Like you're allowed to screw up, but that gives you no permission to keep going. That's disgusting. Yep. You just go grab the toothbrush and go brush your teeth. You just, I ate that ice cream. It wasn't the best choice, but the rest of the day I'm going to win. And that's another thing I like to talk to guys about. A bad moment in your day is not a definition of your day.
No,
I'm so tired of people saying I had a bad day.
It's bullshit. It's you have a bad mindset is what you have.
Yeah. You took a moment and you're making it a bad day. And so it's like, okay, play your Lionel Richie song or whatever it is, some woe is me thing. Give yourself 3 minutes, suck it up, buttercup, and get moving on because you have 23 more hours to win or whatever it might be. That was random, but I feel strongly about that.
Well, I want to say this. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, no. You're like, what we're describing are two different mindsets of the, it's amazing because it all ties in together, right? Going back to what you're saying about if you're taking offense to it, then it holds some degree of truth, right? So when you are the kind of person who gets offended by the truth, then you're just a never-ending excuse-making machine. Whereas when you're taking like extreme ownership and you're being accountable for your own shit, you're a like a perennial solution finder, essentially is what it is. You look for ways to get better versus ways to look out, like to get out of any kind of situation where it's always my environment's fault, it's my circumstances fault, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. It's crazy to me because we only have one shot at this life, but people for some reason are going down the shitty path, right? Because we're both into the whole fatherhood thing, we're both into the whole fitness thing, and obesity has been an issue that has started since the 1950s leading up into today. And for some reason, everybody's confused as to why the fuck is all this shit happening? Why is everybody getting fatter? Although we have healthier choices, more education, more this, more that. It's because everybody's finding more excuses. More
standards
excuses,
as a country are
starting to go low because the movement, the things that are actually important in our life, our health, our masculinity, everything of that nature is, like I said, it's under attack. So a great way for you to actually win is to get some accountability from somebody who wants to pursue exactly what it is you want to do. Like you said, you're going to do 75 hard again. Do you need to? No, but you're going to do it anyways, because not only is it already easy, but you're also helping that friend out. So I actually want to transition this into the importance of community, because obviously we both have father communities here, right? And we've talked about
before we go there, I have one thing that I don't want to lose sight of, because I love and communities. It's extremely powerful, and I want to get there. But I want to go back real quick to what Scott said about the brushing of the teeth, because this is an analogy that I've used for quite a while, and I haven't talked about it in a while. But I think this is important to note, because man, that's powerful for people. Is like, if we go back to, say, when Zach said about the 1950s, right? When this obesity epidemic, because like if you go see, I know we've all seen them, but like if you see the pictures of the beaches back from the 70s, even, there were no fat people on the beach, dude. All the women were in bikinis or swimsuits that were all in shape. All the men were in decent shape. Nobody had a dad bod back then. And this was just normal standard of living, right? Now you go to the beach and they're like, if I go to the beach, I always get in this mode where before we do like a beach trip, I'm like, man, I need to lean down a little bit. I need to get the six-pack showing good. And I show up and I'm like, I'm the only person here that's in shape, dude.
You're in the 1%.
Yeah. But I wanted to bring this up because the brushing of the teeth thing, right? So one could argue, and I'm not advocating for piss poor hygiene, right? But one could argue that our country, I would say one could argue very strongly with this, that our country would be in significantly better place right now if we switched out taking a shower and brushing your teeth with working out and eating healthy. Why are we prioritizing hygiene over something that's literally going to add years to our life when the other two really won't? Now, I could get into the whole dental decay and could this turn in. I've seen somebody that came in with a tooth infection into the ICU who ended up dying because it went to their system and they got septic and all this shit. I get that happens, and that's the outlier. But my point being, why are we prioritizing brushing of the teeth and taking a shower when those two things are just surface level and the other two things are going to add years and quality to your life? It just doesn't make sense.
100%.
So my question is this, and Scott, I'll let you take this one away if you want to, man. Why the hell do people feel like they don't have enough time to take care of both?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense.
Just excuses. Our alignments are so wrong. We are so twisted by marketing and ads and what society thinks is super important for us. The Starbucks thing, like, I will never get off of this hill. My son is like, all these girls coming into high school every morning with this big drink. He's like, how much do those cost? I'm like, what are they? They're like, well, they got whipped cream. And I'm like, okay, they're probably $5 to $7. I said, so he's like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. And I said, yeah, but there's the crazy thing. If you ask somebody to spend $1,000 on maybe nutrition coaching a month, like $1,000 a month, that's a lot of money. But dude, it's so much less money than the results you have if you don't do it. So, okay, anchor that there. They will do that and say they cannot afford a gym membership. It's all about your values, and what they're valuing are the things that society is telling them is important, when that's just a bunch of BS. We got Planet Fitness. Like, hey, like if I had a Planet Fitness across the street, I'd go there and I'd destroy the place. I work out in there every day just because it's cheap, but they're giving everybody freaking pizza every week. They have a no lunk zone or whatever it is. And it's just so funny what our society is saying. Hey, this is what we
backwards,
are.
dude.
And
Our
Scott,
culture.
let me throw this in there real fast too, man. Look, Planet Fitness is doing a good thing to get some of those people who would never otherwise work out in the gym to actually go in the gym. But here's the thing. They're a business. Do they truly care about your health in general? That's questionable. You know why? Because this is their business model. Let's make it so cheap people don't cancel, but so cheap that they take it for granted. So did you know that the average Planet Fitness actually has about 10,000 memberships per location? If people actually used it because it was actually a decent price, they'd be absolutely fucked.
They'd be out of,
It'd be a jungle. They'd go out of business because everybody would cancel their membership. But they made it that sweet point, that sweet spot where they know that 90+% of them won't go, but they also won't cancel it. So do they even care about your health in general? Seems like more smart marketing to me than anything. It's very questionable. Yes.
Yeah.
So just a little fun fact for everybody out there, man. So if you have a Planet Fitness membership, eat that pizza and use that damn gym. Don't be a dumbass and take it for granted, not cancel just because of the fact that it's $10. Or do the damn work.
Shameless plug here, or use the $10 and come join our community, our $10 a month community.
That's true.
We and use our fitness app and be surrounded by other dudes who actually do give a shit about your health.
Yeah, you don't need a gym to be in incredible shape. Here's another thing. Like just start walking. I think every man should have at least 30 minutes of nature every single day just to get us back.
It's so
and
powerful,
I don't ever miss it ever. I don't care if it's 20 below and people are like, you're killing yourself. I'm like, I don't care. I have a buddy in Alberta that does ice baths and he just hit almost 2 million views on one of them because it was -40 degrees. He's breaking the ice. The water's zero, it's 30, whatever it is, 0 Celsius. He breaks it. He has meters and everything. And people are like, you're killing yourself. And you know what? No, he's just, it's dangerous, but he's been doing it for so long that he's hard and he's strong and he knows what he needs to do to keep himself
wild shit.
Challenged. It's wild. We could go on and on about that. Yeah. But I never miss a chance to talk about the Buffalo story. And I don't know if you guys know the Buffalo story.
I see it on your wall there. So I'm curious. Yeah, let's roll.
So is it the cows and buffaloes?
Yes, it is. And I've been telling this for 8 years. So I feel like I'm above the trend, ahead of the trend. And a lot of us act like cattle. We are just walking and roaming around and eating whatever's sitting right in front of us. But what happens up in Wyoming, Montana, north in Canada is you've got the big mountain ranges. And when a big storm surge comes over, you can see it. You can see it coming. And there's 2 ways that this is handled. The cattle actually freak out. They turn opposite away. They turn ass to the storm and run. And in that running, this is the 3-hour workout, right? In that running, the storm eventually catches up with them because they're going in the same direction as it. And it's over them and with them much longer. And there is a lot of death and destruction in that herd. I want men to be a buffalo. A buffalo sees that. Usually they're walking sideways to the mountains. They kind of move that way. When they see a storm coming over, they actually about face. They look straight into the storm. They don't run, but they start walking towards the storm. And then they start moving into that storm. And here's the power. Here's where I'm transitioning this. This is where I transition to having a community. So they walk into the storm. If you look at pictures, they will be up to their head depth of snow. They can, like, this snow is coming so hard and fast that they are above their shoulders in snow. We're talking about a massive, massive creature, right? So they are walking together and they're creating a pathway for the weaker to come through. But those weaker are still getting strong because they're still facing that storm and walking through that storm. And that's what we need to do as men. When we have an issue like extra weight, we need to go and say, I'm going directly into this and I'm going to take my time and I'm going to do it methodical and I'm going to do it with people. I'm going to have more experienced, stronger people with me to guide me through. And if you look at some pictures of buffalo, you'll see a really interesting pattern. On the front of them, very thick fur. Their head is covered in thick fur. Their shoulders, their front legs. The rest of them are super, like it's just short hair. Why is that? because they're facing the storm, and that's creating, the more they do that, the more they build up over time this protective layer. This is why you need a leader. You need a leader who's been through the storm, who knows how to guide you through and will encourage you and break the way for you and move you through it. Society wants you to walk in it forever. They want you to try and avoid all of your problems. It's the easy way out. Walk away from the storm. Just keep going. Run away from it. Don't worry. It's not, it'll never get you. And as a society, we're getting pummeled by the storm. We don't want to be masculine. We're going to like not face any of the things, the adversities coming in our life. Yeah. And so it's just beating the men, and it's beating the men, and it's beating the men. And they are becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. And they have no idea how to lead. And they're dying young. They're fat, they're flaccid, they are horrible lovers, they're horrible emotional support to their wife. And then you've got the buffalo. We've got guys like you guys who are like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go face first into this thing, and we're bringing people with us who's coming. So that's where I just get fired up. Guys need to hear that. I've had 4 of my friends get big old ass tattoos of buffalo on their shoulders.
That's cool.
Because they're like, this is the best reminder for me. When you have a problem in your marriage, the best way through it is through it. Look at your wife and say, I'm screwing up. How can I serve you? How can I get to this point where we're not at this place anymore? Go directly into that storm with an idea that it's going to be tough, but on the other side is really fertile ground.
I love that, dude. And I want to, this is coming full circle here because, and I'm not going to get too much into the political side of things, because I think that, there's an agenda here with stripping out testosterone, stripping out red meat, pumping soy into our country, and encouraging, encouraging mental health days, and encouraging, inclusivity and all this nonsense, the toxic masculinity. Let's be honest, the soy boy movement, they're easily controlled, right? They're easily to control. They're easier to control. The less testosterone in society, the less that we think for ourselves, and the more we follow with the herd. What I loved about the story, though, is what we talked about earlier, too, in terms of the toxic masculinity, right? You mentioned the buffalo, and we talk about the animal kingdom here. As humans, we can all agree that we're the highest ranking animal in the kingdom, right? We're the most intelligent. But if we go down a step further and we go to the apes, we go to the buffalo, we go to lions, we go to like predatory animals. Like there's no other animal kingdom in the world, or no other animal species in the world that's following along with this trend that the most intelligent animals are doing, right? So you talk about the buffalo, they go through the storm, they know what it takes. They know that it's adversity that's going to get them through the storm, right? Talk about lions out on the prowl. You talk about the apes and the chimpanzees and these guys who form communities, and they have the leader that goes out and kills and maims the other packs, because he's there to protect and provide and help his little tribe out, right? The animal kingdom doesn't see the softness and the weakness and the inclusivity and the mental health days. They go straight for the adversity because they know that's what it's about. It's overcoming adversity is how you grow and become stronger as a man. And I love the buffalo story because it just came all full circle with the whole toxic masculinity bullshit, the estrogen rise, the testosterone decrease in our society. And I'm not here for it. And I appreciate you sharing that story, dude, because it's a great analogy to what we're faced with.
It's definitely my favorite. I just think you were right. You said, one of you guys said earlier, the less masculine we become, the easier of a target we are, the easier manipulatable we are. And I do not want to be manipulated. And we've all been through a storm, aka COVID, and we all saw the different ways that was handled. And that was an extreme test. There was a huge separation of the resilient and the cattle and the buffalo. There was a huge separation there. And hey, look, I'm not here to judge whatever decision we made, because we were all in a very interesting situation that nobody had dealt with before. But I think, for businesses, I saw the ones grounded in the right things, even if their business was all merely destroyed, they came out of it thriving. And I think that's how we should look at challenges, is we need to come out of it thriving. Look, I had a situation 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I came home. I had picked up my boys. They were young. I came home And my son was in my office back around the corner. He said, "What? There's a realtor here." And I'm like, "What are you talking? There's a realtor here?" Because we were working on selling the home. And I go to walk back there, and there is a man in my house who was back in my office and had looked at my son and told him to be quiet. And three meth heads, had broken into my house and ransacked my house. They were trying to break into my gun safe. And I was not trained in how to deal with that. I was not prepared in how to deal with that. And that guy looked at me and I said, "What are you doing?" He looked at me and he walked right beside me. He bumped me over and then started jamming. And I had time to reflect. I was not a prepared man. I had no idea what to do. If I had been maybe taking jiu-jitsu, I could have subdued him easily. If I had thought through the situation, there's things I could have done. But instead, my kids were at risk, were in danger. I was in danger. I had a bunch of stuff stolen from me. The other two got away. And
you were in the home the whole time?
No, I went to pick them up and came home, and they had ransacked the place, took thousands of dollars and stuff and cash. And it was crazy. But I think back on that and I go, one, I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. I put my family in a bad situation. Wow. The security of the house wasn't right. The way I responded wasn't right. All these scenarios and it gave me a different look, because everything could have gone really bad that day. I could have lost my kids. I could have lost my life, whatever. It could have gone really bad because I did not prepare. That's what being flaccid is. That's what not being in control of yourself.
Dudes at the post office that your wife saw. Yep.
Yeah, you are putting yourself at risk. And at that point, I made a commitment that I would never, ever, ever be in a situation where I didn't know what to do. Sure, situations come along, you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do right now. But now I play through everything in my mind. I play through everything in my mind when I'm working out, because that gives me a lot of purpose to work out. It gives me a lot of purpose when I'm practicing handling my firearms. It gives me a lot of purpose when I'm thinking about and looking around in the scenario and thinking, what do I need to be prepared for? I'm not telling everybody to be a nihilist or to think that everything's going to go bad. I'm telling guys to man freaking up and be prepared. And that includes being healthy. It includes leading your wife. It includes directing your children in the way that they should go. And first of all, it includes modeling by doing the things you should do and do them every freaking day with resolve and without excuse. I don't know if this is falling on anybody, but you just cannot have excuses anymore.
Dude, it's a standard. It's a standard that we are creating and laying the foundation for other people to raise their standards, man. Like, that's really what a large premise of our show is. And when hearing you talk about that, like, the bottom line is, dude, Zach and I show up and do what we do because we love to see our guys win. But the silver lining is we're simply creating a standard that more men need to live by, right? Like what you just walked through this is not anything outlandish. This is not you doing something that's extreme. This is not skydiving. This is not rock climbing. This is you preparing yourself for adversity, preparing your body, turning your body and your mind into a weapon against adversity. That's what it is.
Let me interject here, Jason. I'm gonna go back to what you were talking about, how the mental health days, inclusivity, and all that shit. Look, we're not against that per se. Don't get us wrong. What we're saying is, don't use that shit to sulk in your sorrows. Mm-hmm. Work on your shit, right? Scott, you could have been one of those guys who's like, oh my gosh, it was the scariest moment of my life. Oh my gosh, right? Or you could become a fucking buffalo, right? You can maintain the victim mentality, or you can become a victor by doing what it takes to become a damn buffalo. And the good thing about buffaloes is they're herd creatures, right? Because I was talking about community before. In order to become a buffalo, what's the best way? Fucking hang out with buffaloes, dude. You want to become the best man you can be.
Yeah.
Hang out with the buffaloes. You want to be as healthy as you possibly can be. Hang out with the buffaloes who know what the priorities are, or what the priorities are. You want to protect and lead and provide? Hang out with the buffaloes, dude. You want to be a loser? Hang out with the cows. Be herded. Eat the shit that's in front of you. Smell your own shit all day, every day. That's it. Or you can take your problems head on and become a buffalo. Like I said, community is extremely important. That's what I wanted to talk about before. So I want to actually segue into this, unless Jason, you have another thing. But
no, that was it.
I want to make sure that we talk about community, because I don't think people understand how important it is and how masculine it actually is to be surrounded by other men who are trying to be as masculine as they possibly can be, because it is not toxic whatsoever. Why do you think the strongest camaraderie, the strongest bonds are formed in the military and in sports? Because you win together, you lose together, you learn lessons together, you suffer together, you do literally everything together, you lead together. Everybody knows their roles, but everybody's trying to be a leader and help everybody up. Nobody's talking shit about the other person. Everybody's trying to lift them up to their level. They know, because, like, you know, the whole saying, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Everybody knows that when it's a team effort. Be a buffalo and lift those up that want to get lifted up, of course, to your level. That's how we should all lead. That is what masculinity is. It's not toxicity where I go up to you and Scott, we bump into each other on accident and we're like, what's up, bro? Want to fight? That's what they think that masculinity is. That's not masculinity. Masculinity is having the ability to control your emotions when something happens like that, to accept extreme ownership. So if I bumped into you, that's my fault. Even if I saw you not paying attention to me, guess what? That's my fault, because I should have avoided it. That is masculinity. And then bumping into you and being like, hey, I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't realize you were there. My fault. Your ability to maintain and keep your emotions under control, that is masculinity. And that is a beautiful thing that more people need to work on.
Yeah. You mentioned the fighting thing, dude. And like, I think we can all agree that there's some pretty masculine dudes out there who have probably never been in a fight in their life, but if they need to be, they're prepared, right? Just like Scott said with the preparedness, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dudes out there that I would not fuck with who have probably never been in a fight before, but they're damn sure ready for it. They're prepared.
Masculinity, it's not masculinity is not about beating everybody's ass.
Yeah.
It's about having the ability to do so, but also being able to control your emotions. Mm-hmm. That's called being a man, being able to protect, not necessarily like going on the offense, but being able to be on the defense and finish something should anything arise. That's what it's about. Going back to your story where the house got, robbed. Yeah. You decided that it's time to be a buffalo. It's time to do what you need to do so that I could protect my family and myself if this were to ever happen again. That's how you win. That's how you level up. That's how you become masculine. And that's what every man should be striving for in life. And community is a great way to make that happen.
The power of community is way beyond what most men ever
can fathom.
They cannot fathom. Yep. When you pull guys together and you give them a place to be real. Now, I wrap that in competition and hard things, and then also just a ton of fireside time and food. They realize that the stuff they're going through, we all seem to think that this is our own journey, that we're all like, I'm the only guy that's struggling with, sweets. Like no one else. I'm hiding this because I'm ashamed of it. When you get together with a group of guys, you realize, oh, wait a minute. These guys are the same. Like there's so much alignment here, but then this guy's got this dialed in and this guy's got this dialed in, and you put it all together and you're a force to be reckoned with. And when you surround yourself with those people who are doing good, what you need to get good at, you're encouraged. You're driven, and vice versa. There's this really amazing symbiotic thing that happens. You realize I'm not in this alone. I have other guys that can pave the path for me and show me the way to do this. And like, in my event, within the first 2 days, 3 different guys came up to me and said, I'd had the business end of a gun in my mouth over the last year, in the last 12 months, 3 guys. And it wasn't a big group, 3 guys. There's a lot of guys going through a lot of pain. And when they realize that they're not alone and they could talk to someone about it, massive growth. It gave them the headspace to step into the next level of what they needed to do. So yeah, sure, you've got to take care of that stuff, but you got to handle it like a buffalo. And that was one thing I did want to talk about. Buffalo move in herds. There's usually one way in front. There's that granddaddy cow that's out there doing the thing, but they move together. They protect each other. You will always see the young or the weaker in the inside. It's that herd mentality in the right way, not herd mentality as in just following, but with the right.
It's not a sheep though. It's a buffalo, not a sheep. Right.
That is where you will get next level. Like the power of community. I don't even know if I can express in words how incredible it is. That is where real things happen. That's where real growth takes place.
I am with you in that I've tried. It's funny because like way before Zach and I even got partnered together. I had a little $9.97 a month community, and some guys came into that and just crushed, right? Like I was shocked. I'm like, dude, these guys are coming in and paying $10 a month for an app and a group. And like one guy dropped like 70 pounds and went from a obese dad to a marathon runner. One of the best transformations I've ever been a part of, especially for $10 a month, right?
Yeah.
And so it was extremely powerful to see, but I've tried to create verbiage around how powerful it is. And without storytelling, you can't really put it into words, because it's like it's there, because human nature is to be social, right? When you have social people, when you're social with people that are doing big things and working on similar goals as you, it's a contagious feeling. It's the emotions that you get from it, the attachment that you become or that you gain from it. It's crazy, and so it's very hard to put into words. But what I will say, in terms of the community aspect, is what you mentioned a minute ago, that like a lot of guys just don't understand. They don't see it. And if they've never been a part of that, they don't realize it. And it's hard to open up your mind to that, because it's very uncomfortable. You're going in, you're going to go around a bunch of guys you don't even know. It's like, who are these dudes? Like our client, Fat Camp, right? Going back to the interview that we did with Adam, is one of the things that he talked about was, the fact that he loves the group so much because he can come and see us like your guys, right? You go to I think you did it in Montana. They come out, they do the in-person event. You build those bonds, those lifelong bonds. Then you get to get vulnerable. You get to share shit that's dark and deep, that's hurting you inside, and get to release a lot of that pain. And then 100%. You get to go back home to your home state and not have to worry about a single thing, because your guys aren't there in your hometown. You're not going to see them at the grocery store. They're not there to tell your sister that you said this at a retreat. It's like it's a true relationship, true bond that you form with these guys. And now you get to go back to your own life. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't realize how powerful that could be. And we just found out, Zach and I found out about 6 months ago, that several of the guys that came to our first retreat have been literally on a text thread, texting each other every single day since that. And it was a year and a half before Zach and I found out that this was even going on. And we were blown away. I was like, holy shit, man. Like, we're making a huge difference in these guys' lives.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Anytime you do that, the bonds that are built are beyond what anybody would imagine. Everyone comes nervous. Typically, everyone comes super nervous. They're like, why in the world? The guys told me, like, I tried to figure out the perfect excuse to not hop on the plane. I was going to miss the plane on it, and I can't get there. The flights suck. I mean, like 4 guys told me that. I'm like, they were so nervous about it. And then they're the same guys going, man, they registered right away for the next one. Like I'm never missing this again. So it's really hard for men. It's really hard to gather men, because they're really, quite honestly, most of the time they fight it, unless you've kind of built a little community before it, and they still fight it. And then they fight that they have to spend money. There's just something inside most men is like, well, I don't want to spend money on me. I'll spend it on a gun or a tattoo, but doing this stuff, it's not tangible, but it's so much more tangible. And I tell the guys, they're like, well, I don't think I can afford it. I'm like, dude, the ROI on this for you, like can't tell you how much money you will earn just by gaining confidence. If you own your own business, or you do sales, or you do anything, this is huge. Like, I can't quantify that for you, but I'm telling I'm telling you that this is cheap. So
no, I love it. I know you guys do a little bit different stuff than we do, but Zach and I both, we had, I think there was three guys, I know for sure 2, but that came up and were like, man, I got more out of this event than I could have gotten from my psychologist, my psychiatrist, my therapist, my doctor, and my personal trainer, all in one shot. You guys delivered more value in 2.5 days than I could get in 2 years of working with these people. And it's just like that disconnect of truly spending on yourself, truly spending on your growth, on your personal development, on your personal excellence. I'm with you, dude. The ROI is insane, because if you actually act and you take away what you learned there, you are going to go back a different person, generally speaking, from those events, because we go deep, man. And we're there to help you move forward in life, just like you are. And so no, it's I guess the only way that I can explain it is with, and it sounds corny as hell, but it's quite magical, man. I mean, it
Just
really
do
is.
it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
If
just
you
do
haven't
it.
done it, just do it. It's
Yeah,
just,
no, I love it.
I can get right in line with you and just, I just want to piggyback. It's just, you just need to do it. And I don't care if you got work bros or you got your college bros. Like, look, a lot of those people might need to be left in dust and not be friends with them,
100%.
but you don't have to spend extra time with them because they might not be taking you where you want to go. That's another thing I'm really talking to men about is like, look at your circle and understand, are they above you? Are they going where you want to go, or are they where you want to be? Because if they are, they're not people you need to be spending time with.
Nah, Zach and I pound the table on that a lot. And Zach for sure is like, and we've all heard the crabs in a bucket analogy, man.
Yep,
And like,
absolutely.
he's got these fucking remember when friends, right? And I
Yep.
cut some of those guys out of my life. And I've talked about it many, many times on the show, and it sucks, dude. It's like I'm not telling you that you're a bad guy, but you're not a guy that is helping me move forward in life. And every time we get together, we only talk about like what happened in high school and like, hey, remember that time we were at that concert together? Like, I don't want to talk about memories are cool, but those are really saved for my family for the most part at this point in my life. Let's talk about what we're doing in the future and what we're going to do to get better. What are we working on? What are we doing to grow? What are we doing to
Buffalo talk, man?
Yeah, Buffalo talk. There you go.
That's
Yeah,
Buffalo
exactly.
talk.
Buffalo talk. Right. So hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good shit. Zach, you got anything to add on the community component?
Yeah, no, it's just it's super important, man. Like I said, it's almost like taboo in our culture nowadays, right? Like you said, you guys grew up with the whole just throw some dirt on it. Look, I'm about 9-10 years younger than Jason. So like and I still heard the same shit growing up. I still heard the same shit. But something that really, really stood out to me during this entire conversation, besides the whole damn thing, is is Scott, when you said like offense is not given, it's only taken. It is true. It is absolutely true. Like there's this one time, right? We had an ad out for people. Well, hey, you want to be the best dad you could possibly be, getting the healthiest, fittest version of you. And we had a guy who commented and said, and I'm sure you get a lot of this too, with the trolls on the internet and everything. And the guy said, "So you're saying because I'm fat, I can't be a good dad?" Remember that guy, Jason? That guy, why didn't he just if he just looked in the mirror and did what he needed to do to be the best he could be, he would probably, if he spent less time criticizing others and talking shit and scouring the internet and more time focusing on himself, he'd be exactly where he wants to be. So if there's anything to take out of this, it would be my challenge to you right now, which is to become a Buffalo. And if you don't know how to, learn from other Buffaloes. That is the best and easiest way to get from point A to point B sooner than later, guys. Like Scott said in the beginning, it's cheap compared to everything else in life because look, we could always make more money later, but we can never get our time back. So my challenge to everybody listening to this right now is become a Buffalo or join a community of Buffalo so you can become the best you possible and you become so great that you just don't get offended anymore. It no longer exists.
You never take the time out to comment if you have the mindset of owning your shit. You might still be fat. You might still feel like shit. But if your mindset is a place of extreme ownership, Scott's analogy with the circle, and if you're only focused on what you're controlling in that circle, you're not stopping the scroll. That ad is not stopping your scroll. You're moving on because you already know that you're above that and you're working on becoming better and it's the truth. And so the last thing you're going to do is take the bait and expose your pain that you're currently working on, right? It's just a different mentality. It's a standard.
Yeah, it is. And people like that, I mean, quite honestly, I'd be like, well, you're the one that said it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. And like, if you can't control some things in your life, or you can't work on controlling some things in your life, well, lead from the front if you have control issues. And hey, guess what your kids are going to do? They're going to grow into fat blobs like you. I'm sorry. And hey, look, I'm not fat shaming. I got some really big friends, but their mindset is I'm working on this. I am doing the daily things I need to do. And if it's not, I'm calling them on it. Like, dude, get to the
That's
freaking
what real
gym.
friends do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's what real friends do, dude. And that's what you need. Like, if you got people in your life that need to hear the truth, send them to this episode. You guys that are listening right now, if you don't want to tell your friend the truth, send them to this episode. Because the bottom line is we're here to help you change. And sometimes the truth hurts, and it's the thing that you need to hear. I know that there's been many circumstances in my life where I know the truth hurts, but I needed to hear it so that I could move forward instead of moving backwards in my life. So, man, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day,
Thank you,
Scott. I know
guys.
Zach does
Yeah.
too, man. Like, this has been an awesome interview. We'll definitely have to put more on the map in the future. I know we've got some time coming up as well, and I just want to give you an opportunity, to share with our audience, dude. Where can they find more of you? I know you've got your podcast, so plug that for sure. But if there's anywhere that they can get more of your content, because obviously we're very aligned, and generally speaking, guys that are plugged into this want to get as much of this as they can, because the more of this that you soak up, the more of the growth mindset, the more of the leadership talk, the more of the raising your standards as a man talk. Generally speaking, that's going to give you more ammunition to actually create the change that you need to make in your life. And so, where can our audience get more of Scott?
Brotherhood of Fatherhood. The Brotherhood of Fatherhood.com. And then just Scott Rammage, Rammage on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook's my jam mostly. I do have a big Facebook group, the Brotherhood of Fatherhood, but like, you follow me, you're going to see all that stuff anyway. So, and I'd love to hear from y'all on the other side. I'm very supportive of things like what you guys are doing. I know it's life-changing for men. And the call out here is, no matter what you do, get into some sort of community. Get into these guys' community, do what you need to do, because that's going to move the needle in your marriage. It's going to move the needle in you being a good father. It's going to move the needle in your finances, your success as a leader, an employee, employer, whatever it is. I'm promising you that plugging into the right people will get you to the right place.
Love it, dude. Love it. Yep. It spills over into every area of your life. So if you guys need access to any of our communities, go down in the show notes, click those links, man. Come, even if you just go get the free 60-day program, go get LP60 now and start taking action, man. And that will help you tremendously. So come get in our world, get in Scott's world. And if you got any value out of today's show, man, please share it with one man in your life that you think will help move him forward in life. And we'll see you guys in our next episode. You guys have a fantastic week. Remember, today is Momentum Monday. Get out there, crush it this week, and we'll see you guys next week.